Hey, good morning, fuckers. It's another day here at the Daily BM. I have Mike. What's up, bro?
Hey, what's going on, everybody? How we doing tonight? Or today? Or whatever it is.
Today. It could be wherever they are in the world. It could be nighttime when they're listening to this. Mm-hmm. So, yeah. As in the famous words of Truman, what is it? Good morning, good afternoon, and in case I don't see you, good night, right? Or some shit like that.
I have no idea.
Nah, it's been so long since I've seen that stupid movie, I don't even remember the freaking lingo.
I'm terrible with movie quotes.
Yeah, we always seem to fuck those up. You notice that? Like, always mess them up. It's like, nope, we're like a sentence off or a word off or a verb or, a noun, whatever. Getting technical here with
whatever it is.
Going out the English fucked up grammar. Meat, things like that.
The more you eat, the more you whatever.
The more, what is it? Beans. The more you eat, the more you fart. The more you fart, the better you feel. Yeah, so eat beans at every meal. That's what it is.
Something of that nature.
Yeah, something around there. Man, I got a bone to pick, man. So I'm gonna make a bitch session. I think it's you and I. You actually touched on it the other day, privately off recording, and I got a firsthand fucking dose of it yesterday, and it made me think about what you said, and it kind of pissed me off, honestly.
I don't remember what I said because I say you want so much shit, so you might have to refresh everybody.
You talk so much crap. Let me just tell you. So Mike
might have to refresh everybody.
Mike had a conversation with me yesterday about like people like making a plan to be somewhere at a certain time or call at a certain time, and they don't show, or they don't call you, or they don't pick up the phone on a scheduled call. I had that happen to me yesterday. Let me tell you something, man. It really got under my fucking skin, and I normally don't let that shit happen. But it's like, if I take time out of my day to call you on a scheduled call and you don't pick up, it pisses me off. To me, it's like it's an automatic disrespect of, hey, my time's more valuable than yours.
Yeah.
And the individual texted me later, but it was like 8 hours later with just a, hi, how you doing, man?
Hi,
you want to talk? And I'm like, no, I don't want to fucking talk. I want to know why the fuck you didn't pick up the phone at the scheduled time. You know what I mean? That shit drives me nuts, dude. And I really didn't put a lot of thought into it until, you opened your mouth.
It happened to you.
And it happened to me. And then I was like, you know what, man? It's so fucking accurate, dude, because, everybody's busy in their lives. And it's kind of like being ghosted by a girl. They leave you on read, or even a friend. I won't mention any names. But they leave you on a read, or when they're not paying attention. It's those things. It drives you crazy.
Right.
Yeah.
Leave you on read.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm listening to you.
Is that what they do? They leave you on read? You gotta look.
You
gotta look. I can always tell when you're fucking reading something, man, because your eyes start shifting left to right. So I'm like, bitch is reading something. So I'm about to go. I heard that Mike loves a huge wiener right in his butt crack too.
And you would have gotten a response of, no, I don't.
You would have been like, yes, I do.
Yeah, I know how aggravating it is when people leave you on read. That's why I don't like to have my read receipts on, not because I don't want people to see it, but the problem is, here's the problem.
All right, tell me. Enlighten us all.
So here's the situation as I see it. All right, you scan a text message, and this goes back to the 4 quadrants of priorities. So you have in the 4 quadrants, I change them a little bit. I mean, Steve Covey has his version. Like mine's basically, I go critical and urgent, non-critical, urgent, not urgent, not critical. And the other quadrant is urgent but not critical. So I think that's the 4.
Okay.
So basically, when a text comes through, I evaluate if it's something I have to handle right this very second. Is it critical to me?
Correct.
Or I have to stop whatever I'm doing and answer the text because it's critical and urgent. Is it urgent but not critical? What that means is it's somebody that it's urgent to them, but it's not critical to me. Like it's not something that I have to do right this very second. Like it might be something that they need or that they want answered, but it's not something I need to stop what I'm doing because what I'm doing is more important than what their text is in my world, in my sphere. It could be bullshit, not urgent, not critical, just a, hey, how you doing? Like kind of bullshit text. Which, that doesn't need to be responded to right away. It just doesn't, because you can finish what you're doing and then talk to them later. I mean, if you got the time, just do it. But what happens is throughout the day, you're getting all these text coming through and you're getting distracted and you're not being able to focus on what you're supposed to be doing, to accomplish your goals and your objectives. So I don't like the read receipts because of that reason, because what happens is people's feelings get hurt because they see it. And then if you take 20, 30 minutes to respond, they get upset because they don't feel like they're important. But in reality, whatever you're doing is just more important than what the question they ask. Like, especially like, this happens with my wife sometimes. I do have the read receipts on with her. And I just had to, because she just wants to make sure I got them. But I had to have the conversation. Listen, if I don't respond, it's not because I'm ignoring you and it's not because I don't want to talk to you. It's just whatever I'm doing requires my undivided attention in the moment. So that seemed to have worked okay for right now. But that's kind of why I don't like read receipts, because people's feelings get hurt because everybody's in the world of now. Everybody wants everything right now. Well, now.
I think you made a great point.
You can't get stuff done.
Well, I think you made a great point, though, when you said prioritizing the text. I mean, if it's an important text, like, hey, am I okay to proceed with this? Or, hey, am I okay to do this? Have you had a chance to look at this? Because it's holding somebody else up. You know what I mean? Then that's an important priority.
Depends.
But if it's like well, no, that's not true. It doesn't really depend because if it's important to them, because if they're like in the middle of something and they're trying to get their stuff done and they're waiting on somebody to do something, then that's a wholly different thing. Especially if it's that individual that has to look at it, is what I'm getting at. But the second thing is that
you're on the phone with a multi-million-dollar angry customer and you're talking and the wife sends over, "Hey, I'm at the grocery store. Do we need creamer? Can you go check the fridge?"
That's not what I'm saying. I'm talking work related. I'm talking work related.
Okay, same token. Somebody texts you, "Hey, I'm working on this, flyer and I need to know, do you like blue or red?" And you're on the phone with the heater. Do you go, "Oh, hey, hold on, Mr. Customer. I got to answer this question real quick because I'm holding this person up"? No, see, that fails the shit test.
Okay, but 9 times out of 10, how much are you on a heater call? How many times are you on a heater call?
It doesn't matter because this is the argument on that case. We're going to agree to
disagree on that one, man. Because I mean,
no, because here's the situation.
On things for like 2 hours, and I'm like, what the fuck, man? You know what I mean?
If you're just sitting there and you can't answer the text, see what happens is that's where the priority scale comes in, because whatever you're working on at that moment is not as important as answering that text.
For 2 hours.
You can stop. No, you can stop what you're doing and answer the text because that part is more important than what you are currently doing. You can still use the model of critical. Because then if you're just working, like say you're journaling and you're like, say you're in the middle of a deep thought and you need to finish the thought to get out of your head, you're going to lose it. Or you're writing a script. Say you're writing a video script.
Correct.
Okay. And you are in your complete flow.
Mm-hmm.
And now you get the text, bling, and you look over and it says, "Hey," and you can see it's gonna be a longer text. All right. And you open it up and it's like, "Hey, blah, blah, blah. I need help on this, and this. Like I need screenshots for something. I can't submit co-op before I get these screenshots in our work environment." All right. If you stop and you go get the screenshots because it's going to keep the other person on go, then you come back. Now you've lost your train of thought. Does that make sense?
Yes, it makes sense.
Okay, so that's my rebuttal. Like, it depends on what the priority is. Now, if you can stop it and answer it, then the text has a higher priority. But if it's whatever you're doing currently is a higher priority, you shouldn't stop, and you shouldn't stop. You should keep going. You know what I mean? Even if it's holding the other person up a little bit, because it's urgent to them, but it's not urgent to you because what you're working on is more urgent. Now, if you're just sitting there watching TV and you go, "Oh, I'm not going to answer it because I want to finish watching this TV show," then you got your priorities wrong.
But then I'll also add to that then too. But then the person comes back 2 hours later and says, "Hey, where is that?" And you're like, "Dude, I've been asking for the fucking question to be answered." You know what I mean? Yeah. So what am I supposed to do? I'm in a holding pattern. So I move on to something else. And then it's like, "Oh, well, why didn't that get done? Or this get done? Or this?"
Well, who's asking that question?
I am.
I know, but who? So you go back to that person, ask them, "Where's it at?" 2 hours later, and they go, "Well, I'm waiting on you. I'm waiting on you to answer this." And then you go,
"But it's okay." So what you're saying is to be more direct.
I'm confused.
Well, you're just saying to be more direct. Hey, before I proceed, I need to know an answer to this. Is what you're basically saying.
Right. If they send that over. No, I mean, if they send that over. But here's the thing. Okay, so where I'm confused at is,
I'm saying 2 hour gaps, 6 hour gaps before you get a response. I just feel like there should never be a 2 to 6 hour gap because the workday is only 8 hours.
So I don't know why there would be a 2-hour gap unless you were physically like in a meeting or you're completely unavailable.
You have a technical issue. I get that, or whatever it might be.
Yes. I mean, there's something, but I'm
Those things
saying,
always come into play. I'm not trying to be a total dick, is what I'm saying. I'm just meant.
yeah,
Sometimes it's like, I'm referring back to that call. I get it. It's not a priority, but a simple response within an hour or 2 hours, with, hey, I got tied up. Can we reschedule this for another time? You got time, man. I mean, everybody makes that bullshit excuse. You have time for a quick reply.
Well,
within a reasonable time frame.
It depends. It depends on the situation is.
Well,
Again,
if you're on a flight for 4 hours, you don't have internet access or whatever.
Or you got in an accident and you just don't know yet. Because I mean, have you heard back from the person at all yet?
Correct. I did.
You did?
Yes.
So and then people make mistakes. They don't catch technology. Sometimes fails us. Like we don't see things. Sometimes we click on things and they're like, we're planning on responding, and while we're about ready to respond, somebody walks up and distracts us, and we get and we think we responded and we didn't. That's why I feel like if you don't hear a response back from somebody within an hour and it's something that's urgent, even 30 minutes, I mean, really 30 minutes, if you don't hear a response in 30 minutes and it's something that's urgent and not just bullshit, then I think it should require a follow-up text. Because if you're sitting there going, well, I text you, like that's one of my biggest pet peeves, because it happens a lot in our industry. It's like, well, I emailed them. Well, when did you email them? About 4 days ago, and you haven't followed up.
Nobody called up or followed them, yeah.
You didn't follow up? No, because I was waiting. I mean, they got my email, and it's so rude for them not to respond. And then you call the person, and they're like, bro, my email was down. I didn't get emails
it went
that
to my
day.
junk folder.
Or, yeah.
I've heard that one before. Yep.
So, like, if it's important to you, it should be your due diligence to get the answer and follow up.
You made a good point, because I literally pitched something to a client the other day, and I literally didn't hear from them for the last couple of days. So I went, okay, you know what? I already reached out the first time, so I'm doing it again. And then when I got a hold of the individual, they were like, hey, and they said to their other person that's in the next like couple of desks down, hey, can you check that my inbox and see if something happened? And it went straight to her junk folder.
Yeah, so, and see, in the meantime, and like in the business world, what can happen is you don't follow up immediately, or within a relatively short period of time. And one of your competitors does, like he calls like an hour later and says, hey, man, I sent you an email, blah, 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 blah. Yep. And they're like, oh, I didn't get it. Oh, hey, no problem. We got 15 minutes. I can just go over with the phone and we can lock this deal up. And then you're sitting there going, do. 4 days later, you call up and they're like, oh, I already booked. Like I already subscribed. Sorry for your loss. And you're like, oh man, that fucking sucks. I sent an email right afterwards. Yep. Like 4 seconds after we got done talking, I sent an email and it was an amazing price. Like I've heard that from salespeople all the time. It's bullshit. It's like follow up. Like if it's urgent to you, see, here's the thing. The system works for both sets of people. Like Correct. If it's urgent and critical for you, but it's not urgent and critical for somebody else, then it's your job to make it urgent and critical for that other person. Like,
right.
Keep bugging them. Like if it's something that has to get done, like to keep the ball moving, then you need to do it. So that way they know as soon as they're done with whatever their crisis they're in, they need to respond. And keep
bugging them. Just keep bugging them until they answer. Then
if it's urgent and critical to you, well, here's the thing. Like in sales, that's what normally happens. I mean, it just literally happened 4 seconds ago because the guy from Yelp keeps calling me, even though I've told him I'm not interested in his product. It's urgent and critical that he sells for his job. For me, it's not urgent, not critical, because I think it's a shit product. So I'm not responding after I told him, hey, I'm not interested. Please stop calling me. If you have any questions, just email me. And he keeps calling me. So he earned a trip to the block list, so now he can't get it through on that, And
I'm laughing at that. He earned a trip to the block list.
If he does the smart ass thing where he, calls from a different number, after I've asked him not to call, then it's going to be a letter to a supervisor. And I'm going to say, listen, I'm not, he's harassing me. Like, I don't want to do business with a company like that. So just take me off the list. Yep. And if you fail to take me off the list, okay, this is your verbal warning. And I've also already sent you a written warning. The very next step, I'm going to call the FCC and file a complaint for harassment because, I'm not going to go for shyster sales tactics, especially from an American-based corporation. Like, it's bullshit. Like, stop harassing people. Like there's a point where you get over the top on those type of situations. But, if somebody makes an appointment with you and they miss it, they should have a pretty damn good reason for missing it. You know,
Right.
I really feel like that's a situation that can be avoided pretty easily. You know, just shoot a text. Hey, I'm
Yeah,
in the
that's what I'm
weeds right
saying.
now.
Just
I can't do
what
it.
I was getting at,
Or
maybe I sounded like a dick when I said it earlier, but I was like, it's just a simple reply.
yep.
Hey, give me a few, or
Yeah.
because we all have autoresponders. I have autoresponders built in. I can just be like, dink, hit one button and go. But like you
Yeah.
said, when you're in
I
a
mean,
creative
there's
mode, it's
some,
a little different. I get it. When you're in a creative mode, it's completely different because it does pull you right out of your mindset.
yeah, it does. And it does not just creative mode. It's any type of mode because humans are not, I mean, that whole myth of multitasking that came
It's
up when
bullshit.
when the computer industry came up, you know, because computers can multitask. They can run two tasks simultaneously with the same level of processing as long as they have enough cores.
Right.
They can dedicate cores for each set of processing. You know, humans can't. We get very efficient at switch tasking, which means you stop one task and move to another. But you know, the quicker you can recover and get back into your task, that means you're faster at switch tasking. But we cannot multitask. We cannot focus on two things at one time and do them proficiently. We
Huh?
just can't. Like, there's no way to do it. Yeah,
I was like,
exactly.
wait, what? Huh?
So
Yeah, it
I
is
mean
hard.
that is super frustrating. But I've been guilty of it too. I mean, I'm not everybody. I mean, everybody has moments where they're guilty of it. Like,
Yeah, I've done it too. So I guess I should just cut the guy some freaking slack. It's a first time hit.
yeah, I
It
mean,
just stuck in my mind from the conversation the day that same exact morning, and I was like, man, what the freaking hell, man?
but I mean, here's the situation on that. Like, it does paint the picture of, do you want to work with somebody that doesn't have their, you know, timing together?
Right.
That's why for me, I mean, you know, like, it's funny because, you know, we've talked about this before in the past. Like, basically, there was a movie with John Travolta and Danny DeVito, and I can't remember. I think it's called Be Cool. I'm not 100% on that though.
Okay.
But Danny DeVito rolls up in, I believe, a Lamborghini, and he's early. And then, like 15 minutes later, John Travolta rolls up. I think he rolls up in a Prius. I'm not 100% sure on the cars. But the moral of the story is Danny DeVito starts riding him, and he's like, he responds for being late. He responds, if you're important enough, they'll wait. So you just have to you just need to know what your pecking order is.
It was Be Cool, by the way.
Was it Be Cool?
It was either Be
And was
Cool
it?
or they've been in so many movies together. They've been in like Get Shorty, Be Cool. Believe it or not, they were an Austin Powers Gold member.
No, I know.
So I mean, they've been in
Yeah,
they've been in quite a few movies together. Believe it or not, but Be
Yeah.
Cool and Look Who's Talking Now. But
Mhm.
but yeah, that Be Cool. You're right. That's the movie.
Yeah, it's no, it's Get Shorty.
Is it Get Shorty then? Okay. So
I don't know.
it's either
I
Get
don't know.
Shorty or the other one. So yeah, it's one or the
Maybe
other.
not.
Anyway,
One or the other.
hey, just watch both movies, guys, and you'll know what we're
Yeah.
talking about. Spend 4 hours of your life watching two movies. I
Yeah.
think those were back. I think that back in that day, it was like hour and 10-minute movies instead of now the 3-hour movies we're getting now with the story. I still don't understand how. I mean, even if a movie's like super good, 3 hours is a long time to sit in a movie. You know what I mean? Like, even when I go back and I watch like Braveheart, you know, and things like that, these big, long, epic movies, it's still tough for me to sit still for that long a period of time. That's why I love the pause button, you know, watching from home versus going to the theater so you don't miss anything.
I'll tell you the one that was hard for me to get through was The Irishman. It was such a good movie, but it was like 3.5 hours long, and I had to watch it in like hour-and-a-half chunks because it was so wordy and there was so much intensity that I couldn't sit through the whole movie in 3 hours. Like, it really needed to be like 3 movies.
Like a part 1, part 2, part 3. I agree. I thought, oh my God, this is the longest movie ever. And the dialogues were so long and winded, kind of like us. But you know what I mean? But it's like,
so I'm not. Yeah. So my thing was, I'm not saying you should make people wait. I'm just saying, if you do know your hierarchy, that does give you a leeway. Like, if you're going to see a client, obviously they are way more important than you are. So you better be early. You know? You should always be early, but if you're not going to be able to be early and you're running late, make sure you prioritize the people, because if you're more important than they are, then they'll have to wait. I mean, unfortunately, that's just the way life works.
Yeah, it is. And, my thing is, it's like, and I'll end it on
And
this one, or
yeah,
unless you got something else to say.
I got one more thing I wanted to say
Go
on
ahead,
that, but
say.
you go ahead.
No,
I was just going to say, like, what I'm talking about is the situation that you're meeting the person for, not the person themselves. And what I mean by that is, like, if you're, again, dealing with a client on the phone and they're a big important client, and that causes you to be late to lunch with your friend, like, that's just the way it has to be.
That's different. That's completely understandable, because you're going to be like, okay, they got caught up.
Well,
with
it's still
or,
shitty. It's still shitty on their time, and it's still not 100% right. Like, in a perfect world, you want to honor and commit all of your times
I
and make
understand
it
that.
on all of your times. But sometimes, if such shit like that comes up, you just have to prioritize.
Yeah, you got to use common sense too. I mean, you really do. I mean, like, if I met you for lunch and I knew you were 15 minutes late because you got stuck on a call with a client, you know what I mean? And the truck,
Yeah.
like, I could see
I'll tell you the one that gets
the
me.
truck out the window. How many times have we had that happen where you're in the truck for 15, 20 minutes? And you're like, I'm sorry, man. I'm like, hey, shit happens, man.
Yeah, I know it happens more than I'd like.
Yeah,
and then the other thing that happens a lot that's a challenge, and this is kind of on the funny side, but you're getting ready to walk out the door, and people with pets can really, really relate with this. You just let your dog out like 20 minutes ago, and he ran around, he's sniffing, but he just peed, didn't do anything else. Like, and you're out there for like 20 minutes, and you're like, all right, I gotta leave. You go inside, you grab your keys, you're heading to the car, you're going to be on time with about 5-7 minutes to spare, and you look over, and your dog's left a giant pile of crap on the floor. And you're like, you little bastard, I just let you out. Like, why did you do that? So the question comes, do you honor your time commitment, or do you scoop the poop?
You scoop the poop.
I always scoop the poop because I don't want to sit
this
there.
Is why I was late. Or I'm
so
on my way.
That's the frustrating. And then the other thing that's super frustrating is, what I've started to do now, because one of the big things I ran into a problem with is I know how long, like, especially going to your house, like when I come pick you up, I know how long it takes to get there normally. It's like 15 to 20 minutes, 20 minutes max.
Yep, 20 minutes
max.
Normally, depending on traffic.
But now, like,
conditions.
I put every address that I go to, even if it's local and I've driven there a million times, I throw it on my phone, because there's been so many times that I've driven trying to get to your house, especially in the morning, and I end up getting stuck in traffic for an extra 10 or 15 minutes, and it makes me late. And if I'd gone a different route, I'd have been there on time. So now what I do is about 30 minutes before I know I normally need to leave, I go ahead and put it in my GPS, and I see real time what the update is, how long to get there, and I try to adjust backwards. That's why I've been better at getting over to your house.
We are wired so much alike. I literally just started doing that a week ago. Like, everywhere I go, if I know I have to be somewhere at a certain time, as I'm getting ready, I put it up and I set it up against the mirror, and I just sit there and I watch my time frames. Like, okay, shit, now there's a traffic jam, I got to get going. I just did that on Sunday when I was going to pick up the wife in Orlando. I was like, okay, so far it's clear. Good. It was clear all the way through. I made record time. But you know how that is on I-4. You know what I mean? If you're not paying attention, next thing you know, whoop, 30-minute delay. You know? And 100%. It still didn't stop it. I mean, even though I was clear all the way up past Champions Gate. I got just past 417 to, over in that area. And I got a 10-minute delay.
Right.
All the way to International Drive. I was 9 minutes away drive time, and it literally threw double time on me. It said 18 minutes away. I went, damn it.
Yeah. So that makes it more challenging too.
Right. That's different, man. That's a different story, because then you can text the person or, whatever.
It's still a pain in the ass though, because you're supposed, you're trying to keep your commitments, and then you're running a little bit late. Like it happened to me last night when I was heading up to the board meeting. My GPS had said I was going to get there at 6:20, and the meeting started at 6:30. I left the house, I'm driving, and all of a sudden it jumped up 20 extra minutes. And I'm like, what the fuck happened? Well, they had an accident, I guess, on the ramp right there, on the parkway, the direction I was heading, and it caused a delay. Like I had to go around the car. That made me late, and it wasn't real time enough to detour or go around it. So that kind of sucked. I ended up only being like 6 minutes late, but it didn't matter because the meeting actually didn't start for like 10 minutes after that. So I had plenty of time, but
still happens.
I was trying to get there early and ended up getting there a little late due to the traffic problem.
It's gotten worse.
Yeah, that's also challenging. So like with the planes, like with airports, like I always end up getting there like an hour or two before I really need to be there because I'm worried that I'm not going to get there because of traffic. That's why I don't like. That's why I don't like.
Even though we have pre-check, it's still that stresses me out sometimes because I'm like, oh shit.
That's why I don't like. That's why I don't like super early flights because if you do like a 7 a.m. flight, you have to get up at like 3 a.m.
Yeah, on that one we had to though. Sorry.
Realistically. Oh, I know. No, I mean I know sometimes it's unavoidable, but I just hate it because then what happens too is, it messes up my sleep rhythm. So by the time 4 o'clock comes around in the afternoon, I've been up for 13, 14 hours and I'm already tired. So if we have an evening meeting, I'm just sitting over here like this, out.
Isn't that your normal day?
Yeah, pretty much. No, I'm actually a night owl. The show. I'm actually a night owl. Like I was up, I didn't get my workout in until 10 o'clock last night, and it was a good workout too. I crushed it.
Oh, good for you, man. It's awesome.
I crushed it. I felt good last night. Yeah, I felt real good.
Well, speaking of crushing it, let's get the hell out of here. Guys, don't forget. I was going to say one thing. That's right from earlier. Hold on. Yeah. So I was going to say, if you're early, you're on time. If you're on time, you're late. If you're late, it's unacceptable. So just try your best to get there.
Unless you're the boss.
Early. Unless you're the boss, and then you can.
Then you do whatever the fuck you want.
Yeah, you do whatever the fuck you want.
The meeting starts when you show up.
That's right, bitches. Anyway, bitches get stitches. Anyway, that being said,
and be like, you didn't get my email. I moved it by 30 minutes. You dumb fox.
Then, of course, your PA goes, "Oh yeah, that's right. He did. It must be in y'all's junk folder, and they're typing it up right there when they send." Anyway, all right, guys, don't forget head over to thedailybm.com. Check us out over there. There's all our socials. Follow us, like us, subscribe, whatever. Send nudes, whatever. Just kidding. Don't send nudes.
Ugh.
Yeah,
that's always such a terrible idea.
Yeah, no shit. Don't, please, just don't. Anyway, that being said, we're out of here. We'll catch you guys on the flip side.
Have a good one.
Deuces.